Joining us now is OjyOkpe with stories trending around the world. Hello, Jinx.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning?
Good.
Perfect.
Good, yeah.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Oji. Good to see you today.
Good to see you today, too. Are we celebrating today? Good morning, Rufai. How are you this morning?
Very well.
Are we celebrating today?
I think his expression says it all.
Does it?
Celebrating what, really?
Well, all right.
The pain, the penury, the poverty?
Okay.
Oh.
All right, then. Well, let's begin what's trending. As President Bola Ahmed Tinubu marks 1 year in office today, May 29th, presidential spokespersons Bayo Onanuga, who is a special advisor on information and strategy, and Ajuri Ngelale, special advisor to the president on media and publicity, were at loggerheads on Tuesday over the president's State of the Nation address at the joint session of the National Assembly, scheduled to hold today as part of the 25th anniversary of Nigeria's democratic journey. Bayo Onanuga, in a post on X, had announced that Tinubu would address the National Assembly to mark the Democracy Day anniversary, as reported by the clerk of the National Assembly. Ajuri Ngelale, however, in a statement, refuted the claim, stating that the information was false and unauthorized, and that the office of the president was not involved in planning the event, eliciting a wave of criticism. Well, let's take Ajuri Ngelale's statement. He wrote in part, in view of public commentary concerning the president delivering a speech before a joint sitting of the National Assembly tomorrow, which is today, May 29th, 2024, it is important to state that this information is false and unauthorized, as the office of the president was not involved in the planning of the event. I mean, this is coming, at a time where we don't need this type of confusion between the spokespersons of the president. Bayo Onanuga had posted, in fact, a report that was delivered by the clerk of the National Assembly. And apparently, it's holding today at 11 a.m. The president is set to deliver his address at the National Assembly today at 11 a.m. So we don't know what happened to Ajuri Ngelale there. I believe, I don't know, it's between Ajuri and Bayo that we are always contemplating on who is giving Nigerians the correct information. Let me take Nefertiti's tweet. The presidency announced it. The presidency says it's fake news. Policy flip-flops was one of the reasons Total Energies decided to take its whopping $6 billion energy project to Angola and another $600 million investment to Congo. A very unserious government. Rufai, your thoughts before I take this one.
So I think what happened between Bayo Onanuga and Ajuri Ngelale is reflective of the confusion that has heralded the first year anniversary of President Tinubu. It is same in this government. We had an announcement about the Maersk deal. It is same in this government that we had Dubai is back.
Bayo Onanuga's faux pas.
Yeah. It's the same, what's it called? We had Dubai is back and all of that.
That was Ajuri Ngelale.
Also Ajuri Ngelale's faux pas. And Ajuri also did another one. You remember when Ajuri said that Tinubu was the first president to go to NASDAQ and, ring the bell?
That was Ajuri Ngelale.
So that was Ajuri. So this bunch of guys have been giving out false information. They are the purveyors of fake news from the presidency. And that's reflective. And it speaks volumes. I know Dr. Abati will talk about the internal workings and he will tell you the story of how, this will never happen in my time. I mean, I can predict what he's going to say. But a couple of things. I knew there was going to be a problem. And please, I'm not trying to fish out for anything. When Bayo Onanuga was brought in as strategy information SA, and Ajuri was in that job too, and it was just a different decision was strategy. And I've been seeing a lot of the breakback because I felt it was a duplication of duty. If you were keeping Bayo, keep him. I mean, if you were keeping Ajuri, keep him. So why was there a need? And this was an action that came in much later. So we've seen this break back and forth. Anyway, somebody did explain to me then that, because Mr. Bayo Onanuga has more experience, so he will do the dirty job of facing the opposition, which he has done some of, then Ajuri will do the job of conveying the heart of the presidency and all of that. But there's no how they're not going to clash. So I think they should fix their problem internally. Because we don't even know now, are we going to have a State of the Union address of some sort or not? Or we have to wait till 11? Because this misinformation is writ large. in all of this, what's even the Minister of Information saying? But it's a reflection of the confusion we face. And the earlier they fix it, the better. Just like the confusion that extends to, the custom officers fighting another government parastatal, and all of that. So there's just a lot of bickering and what is going on in this country, which is an eyesore, and what is happening in Kano. Yeah.
Well, you asked a question. Let me take Bayo Onanuga's statement, if we can. He said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not make a broadcast to the nation on Wednesday to celebrate his first anniversary as the leader of Nigeria. Instead, the president will address a joint session of the National Assembly, which has lined up a program to commemorate 25 years of the nation's democratic journey at both the executive and legislative levels. President Tinubu's speech will dwell on the achievements of his administration and Nigeria's democracy since the military ceded power in 1999. And so that's what's going to happen today. I believe the president will deliver his goodwill remarks at the National Assembly, followed by the commissioning of the library. And afterwards, he will proceed to inaugurate additional projects in the federal capital territory. This is from our State House correspondent.
Okay.
Well,
good.
In the meantime, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, in a statement appraising President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 1 year in office, said the nation's economy has worsened since Tinubu assumed office, adding that the president embarked on a cocktail of policies with no concrete plans to achieve the remodeling of the economy he has promised. His statement on X reads in part, predictably, 12 months on, Tinubu's pledge of growing the economy and ending misery remains unfulfilled. His actions or inactions have significantly worsened Nigeria's macroeconomic stability. Nigeria remains a struggling economy and is more fragile today than it was a year ago. Indeed, all the economic ills, joblessness, poverty, and misery, which defined the Buhari-led administration, has only exacerbated. Africa's leading economy has slipped to the 4th position, lagging behind Algeria, Egypt, and South Africa. Citizens' hopes have been dashed and not renewed, contrary to the propaganda of the administration, as Nigeria's economic woes have multiplied. Well, all right. I mean, we at Arise News, and we pulled up, Tinubu's economic indices in the past year. And if we can pull that up, let's compare what happened before President assumed office. Petrol price then was 238 naira per liter. Now it's 701 naira per liter. Diesel then was 844 naira per liter. Now it's 1,415 naira per liter. And that is a 67.6% increase. While food inflation rate then was 24.82%. Now is at 40.54%. That is a 37.52% increase. Inflation rates then was 22.41%. Now is at 33.69%. And that is a 31.15% increase. In foreign reserves, then it was $35 billion. Then, now it's at $32 billion. Exchange rate then was at $1 to 461 naira. Now it's at $1 to 1,479. What's that exchange rate? And that is a 220% increase. I mean,
sad reality.
Very sad reality. Let me just take the final one, which is the public debt. Then it was 87.38 trillion. Now it's at 97.34 trillion. And that is 11.4% increase. And then oil production. Then it was 1.18 per barrel. And now it is 1.28 million per barrel. And that is an 8.47% increase. I mean, Dr. Abati, we can go on and on with all of this. Finally, there's also the interest rate, which was then at 18%. Now it's at 26.25%. GDP growth then was 2.51%. Now is at 2.98%. Before I take Atiku's other tweet, I'd love your comment, and then Ayo's comment.
It's as follows. Number one, statistics tell only part of the story. Statistics do not tell the full story. In a country where statistics are at best estimates, in a country where data is an issue. But I say it tells part of the story. But the real story is told in terms of the impact of the administration on individual lives. This morning, I've had cause to quote the African Polling Institute survey curated by Professor Bell Iwa, an economist, who says, or the report says, that hunger, poverty, dissatisfaction, we seem to define the harsh realities that Nigerians have had to deal with in the last 1 year. And basic questions were asked, in that survey. How do you rate Tinubu's job performance? How do you rate the performance of the Senate under Akpabio? How do you rate the performance of the House of Representatives under Speaker Abbas? I think that's his name. Yeah. How do you rate the performance of the judiciary? What are the challenges that you have faced personally as a Nigerian? I'm sure if we all ask those basic questions, we will be able to respond, and we'll probably also express our dissatisfaction. That's at the personal level. This morning, we had Professor Bongo Adi on this program, a professor of economics, who says his dependents are putting him under so much pressure. He's in fact considering running away from Nigeria because he's considering whether he took a bad decision, deciding to stay back in Nigeria or to return to Nigeria. And then you have, now let me go to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, where you may well say, what do you expect the person who came second in the 2023 general election to say, and who is a prominent leader of the opposition? Of course, you don't expect him to commend the Tinubu administration. You can only, say, however, that what Waziri Adamawa Atiku Abubakar is saying would seem to reflect the feelings of the people who took part in the survey that I quoted, of the professor who was here, of the pastor that decided to leave Nigeria and relocate abroad, and similar other people who in the last 1 year have had to migrate away from Nigeria when they could not get the hope. However, to balance it out, Felix Morka, spokesperson of the APC, has responded to Atiku Abubakar. He says that Waziri Adamawa is befogged with envy, and for him to say that Tinubu's government is doing trial and error, that he is wrong and all of that. However, the true assessment would lie with the Nigerian people. How have you fared under Tinubu in the last 1 year? Is your life better 1 year ago or worse off today? Now, to take the other story about Mr. Onanuga and Ajuri Ngelale. Well, you asked me in my time. No, in my time, it could not have happened. Yes. Because I was special advisor, and I had the full permission and authority of the President Jonathan, as the leader of the team. A special advisor leads the team or led the team in our time. Every other person working within that media and communication space, senior special advisor, assistant, there are special assistants. In my office alone, I have 3 special assistants, working with me. So you don't issue a statement without clearing with me. Even the party could not issue a statement without clearing with me, because they know I'm the last bus stop to the president. And the president will say, don't go and issue a statement that I did not authorize. So they knew that you had to clear with my office. But the problem we have, let's jump so that people don't accuse me of masturbating. Let's jump to the present. Mr. Ononuga bears the title of Special Advisor, Information and Strategy. Ajuri Ngelale bears the title Special Advisor, Media and Publicity. Now, 2 persons doing exactly the same job. So that is the source of the confusion. If you had somebody who is the leader of the team, then the next person, who is in a junior position, will know that he cannot just go ahead, to just go and speak. Except you are an attack dog, you've been given an attack dog rule, then you are not doing formal, presidential communication. You are just there to respond to, Bola politics. But in this case, you are given 2 people the same professional job. That is bound to create conflict. That is bound to create confusion. And you see in Ajuri Ngelale's statement, he said, oh, what Mr. Onanuga said was false and unauthorized. So it was rubbing it in to say, look, I have the job function. But Mr. Onanuga also, by issuing the statement, was saying that he has the job function. And what he has said, what Mr. Onanuga said, is exactly the same thing that the clerk of the National Assembly said. There was no difference between the statement put out by the clerk of the National Assembly, Tambawal, and Mr. Ononuga. And the clerk of the House was saying, of the National Assembly, was saying that the House should reconvene. All members are expected to be seated by 9 a.m. What do we know? Are they seated now? Ojinika, you quoted 11 a.m. when the president will address the National Assembly. So by 11 a.m., we will know who is telling the truth, who is lying. But however, the confusion could have been avoided in terms of if the president had paid more attention to nomenclature rather than duplicating the same position, and also if there had been a proper delineation of role. Each person could have been told, this is your job. You are the official spokesman. You do attack job work and just stay with attack job. You are the leader of the team. But once you have this confusion, you know, that's the problem. Maybe this is part of the learning process for President Tinubu himself, for all the people who are in Abuja now. You know, they don't teach how to run government or how to run the presidency. It's when you get there, you know, that you begin to learn and you make amends ahead the way. But if there was good relationship, personal relationship, all of this will not be an issue. You know, Ngelale or Mr. Onanuga could just have stepped down for the other and allow peace.
Dr. Bati, from a vantage point of who is not going to be the Oga?
No, I'm not in a position to determine that. President Tinubu chooses his team. He gives them assignment as he deems fit. The ball is in his court.
Right. I wanted to give Ayo the opportunity to respond, since we are, you know, analyzing President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's first year in office. But let me take another part of Atiku's tweet. I'd love for you to respond to this part of his tweet. He wrote, first, President Tinubu's policies do not create prosperity. Instead, they pauperize the poor and bankrupt the rich. They spare no one. Nigerian citizens, the majority of whom are poor, are going through the worst cost of living crisis since the infamous structural adjustment program of the 1980s. The annual inflation rate at 33.69% is the highest in nearly 3 decades. Food prices are unbearably higher than what ordinary citizens can afford, as food inflation soared to 40.53% in April, the highest in more than 15 years. Nigerian citizens have to pay 114% more for a bag of rice, 107% more for a bag of flour, and 150% more in transport fares relative to May 2023. Today, in some locations, motorists are paying 305% more for a liter of fuel, yet on a minimum wage of the equivalent of $23 per month. Nigerian workers are among the lowest wage earners in the world. Tinubu had the courage to remove subsidy on PMS and impose additional taxes on his people, but lacks the compassion to raise the minimum wage or implement a social investment program that would reduce the levels of vulnerability and deprivation of workers and their families. I'd like for you to respond to that.
The former vice president and also presidential candidate in the last election of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, has detailed the sad reality of what we face currently in terms of the economic reality for Nigeria and Nigerians following some of the policies of this administration. When we were speaking to Professor Adi earlier, one of the things he said was that, and he actually used the term that Alhaji Atiku used in terms of trial and error economic policies, and the fact that whilst these policies were being announced, it was obvious and it has become clear that it wasn't well thought out, or there weren't plans put in place to fully implement or successfully implement these policies that were said to be necessary, because all the major presidential candidates had said one or two of those policies were going to be enforced if they had won. Now, if you look at the situation on ground, everything is said is correct. Are people poorer today? Ask the people. They will answer themselves. We know the being power. We know the people that I'm hungry. People are hungry. We see people. If you look at the streets now, there are a few more people sleeping on our streets. More beggars. Unfortunately, whilst he was quick to make the announcement of subsidy removal, he hasn't been quick to effect the social intervention programs. Just two of them I'll mention very quickly. What's happening to the student loans? Despite promises, yes, they said they're going to launch. How successful has that been? What's happening with the launch of the CNG buses? What's happening with the minimum wage? And now, or living wage as a promise? So many things not done and making people palliatives. Absolutely. Nothing has happened concretely, making people poorer. All right,
absolutely. Well, like Dr. Abati, you had mentioned the APC spokesman, Felix Moka, who responded to these questions posed by Atiku Abubakar and a lot of Nigerians, said that, the Tinubu administration has attracted over $20 billion into the economy, and that is just
where's the money?
That is just for balance. That's what the APC is.
What is money?
Where's
How
the
much
money?
Is money? Well, all right.
All these promissory notes. Where's the money?
We'll take our final story. As the nation continues to grapple with the worsening state of the economy, the Senate on Tuesday passed for third reading a bill seeking to reintroduce the old national anthem despite the position held by the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, who said that the process to change the anthem should be subjected to a wider process. The old national anthem, titled Nigeria We Hail Thee, was written by a British expatriate, Lillian Jean Williams, in 1959 and was changed by former head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo. There have been mixed reactions since the National Assembly began taking steps to reintroduce the old national anthem, although majority of the lawmakers in both chambers of the Assembly have spoken in favor of the bill. Senator Adams Oshiomhole, during the debate in the upper legislative chamber, argued that the words native and tribe should be expunged from the old anthem, while Deputy Senate President Baru Jibrin argued that the word motherland in the old anthem should be changed to fatherland, in line with our tradition. Let's take a listen.
But there is just one or two things I think we need to review, and I seek your deep reflection on it. Excuse me, sir, I am all for whatever is agreeable to all of us. I beg to plead that where tribe is used, we should change it to ethnic. Where you talk of native land, I am not a native man. We should talk of fatherland or motherland. The word native. Our sovereign motherland. Well, motherland and fatherland is the same thing. But in line with our tradition and in line with our faith, I do think using fatherland will be better. But let's look at it, all of us. But I'm in total support of this bill. I stand with this bill. But I'm thinking that instead of using motherland, we should use fatherland.
I mean, what is going on here? We just, tackled the whole economic problems we're going through or we're facing in Nigeria, and this is what they're debating. And what was that, Rufai, with the Deputy Senate President?
No, he's sexist.
Dr. Abbas.
Okay, very quickly.
Very sexist.
Now, when you play the old anthem, it's an act of protest.
That's what you always say.
When
but now
people
that's what's
are
happening.
protesting,
yeah.
They play the old anthem.
That's what you always say.
To reject the present, administration as a form of protest. So we find ourselves in a situation whereby the National Assembly of Nigeria is practically protesting against the government of Nigeria by saying, let's go back to the old anthem. That's number one. Number two, is this a priority for Nigeria at this time?
Not at all.
I mean, if you ask the ordinary Nigerian, he will say he doesn't have a problem with anthem. That is why I think Lateef Fagbemi SAN is right to say that this should be subjected to wider conversation. Yeah. Number three, I think Senator Adams Oshiomhole is right. The words native and tribe are pejorative.
Yes.
But of course, he didn't win at the end of the day. Number four, the National Assembly says we can retain the second stanza of the second of the current national anthem as the national prayer. But I don't think national anthem is a priority of Nigerians.
Absolutely.
Nigerians want jobs, they want food, they want opportunities.
That's it.
Finally, the bill will be sent to President Tinubu. He should not assent to
We
it.
hope
He
he
should
does.
just leave it.
This
is not what Nigerians want.
Absolutely.
What is the thing
I don't understand
about
what
national
it is.
anthem?
I don't understand.
They are jobless.
I'm glad that we all
When
agree
there's
on
a lot of
lack
problems,
on
they are
this
jobless
table.
people, jobless rubber stamp national
I'm so
assembly,
glad we all agree. We
representing
hope that the
their
president
themselves.
is listening. This is not what we need at this point. Well, I'd like to thank you for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. That's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.
Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians old and proud to serve our sovereign God.